Good morning, guys. Now we will start our next lecture. In previous lecture, we have discussed about the construction of global stiffness matrix. Okay, so this is the global stiffness matrix. Actually, we have derived this global stiffness matrix or constructed this global stiffness matrix for this example. Okay, means here the spring system shown in figure contains 3 spring elements. This is first one. This whole spring element is this whole spring parallel spring system is converted into one spring element, and next one is your third element. Okay, so for these 3 elements, we have first calculated our elemental spring elements E1, E2 and E3. Okay, for this spring element we have got E1, for this spring system we have got E2, and for this spring system we have got E3, means elemental spring elements. Okay, and by using these elemental stiffness matrices, we have constructed our global stiffness matrix in this way. Means how to position the elemental stiffness matrix over the global stiffness matrix. Means for example, actually this element E1, it is in between node 1 and 2. So the position of this element, it should be between 1 and 2 over this global stiffness matrix, which means this block, it will contain your first element. Similarly, this block, it will contain your second element, and similarly, this block, it will contain your third element. Okay, so first find out the elemental stiffness matrices. Then by using these elemental stiffness matrices, you can construct the global stiffness matrix. Okay, so all these things we have derived or we have constructed in our previous lecture. Now in this lecture, we will solve one example by using our finite elemental procedure and this example is of your spring system only. Okay, so we will solve one example related to your spring system. Okay, so first procedure is like that. First, convert your real life problem into the discrete problem. Means convert your entire problem into finite number of elements. So actually finite element procedure or finite element analysis, this is the technique. It is nothing but a technique. This technique, by using this technique, make the calculations at limited number of points only, and then interpolate these results over entire domain by using the shape function. So how we are going to apply our finite elemental procedure to this spring system? Now you can see. Okay, so problem is that. So problem is what? This is the spring system given in the example. Here there are 3 springs. There are 3 spring elements are there in the example, with the spring constants K. For these 3 spring elements are given. Means for first spring K1 is equal to given equal to 200. K2 is also given equal to 400, and K3 is also given equal to 600. Actually its unit is in kilonewton per meter or newton per minute, but in terms of unit it is not given. Now another thing is also here, they mentioned that there is a force at this point. There is a force of 25 kilonewton. Okay, there is a force of 25 kilonewton magnitude is acting at this point, or you can say this 25 kilonewton is acting at this node. Okay, and they are asked to find out first nodal displacements at nodes, nodal displacements at node. Then second point is find out the support reactions. Support reactions at the ends. Okay. So this is the example of your spring system, and here the values of K1, K2 and K3 it is given. Also here in this diagram it is shown that the 25 kN force is acting at this node or at this point, and they are asked to find out the nodal displacements at the nodes as well as find out the support reactions at the ends. Okay, so this is the example. So how to proceed to get the values of nodal displacements? First question is how to proceed to get the values of nodal displacements. So for this, first we need to convert this problem into our discrete system. Means actually this is real life problem. So we need to convert this real life problem into discrete system. So discrete system means convert this real life problem into finite number of elements. So here as there are 3 elements, 3 springs are there, means we will consider this spring as one element. So here there are 3 spring elements. So this real life problem can be converted into a 3 elemental system. 3 element systems we are considering this spring system as. Okay, so this is your first element, this is your second element, and this is your third. Okay, now as here we are with our elements 1, 2 and 3. Now note down the nodes also, means denote the nodes for this spring system. So as there are 3 elements, so how many number of nodes should be there? As we know that the thumb rule for the node is that the number of elements plus 1, it will gives you the number of nodes. So as there are, so n will become, as there are 3 elements in the spring system shown in figure, plus 1 is equal to 4. So number of nodes will become equal to 4. Okay. So denote these nodes over the diagram as this will be your first node, this will be your second node, this will be your third node, and finally you will get the fourth node at the right. Okay, so you will get the 4 nodes for this spring system. Now we will see the procedure to find out or to get the values of nodal displacements as well as the nodal as well as the reactions at the support. Okay, so procedure is what? First one is find out elemental stiffness matrices. Elemental stiffness matrices for each element. Okay, so this is the first step. Second, construct the global stiffness matrix. Okay, when you will get the elemental stiffness matrices for each element, then next step is construct the global stiffness matrix. Then third step is what? Write down force displacement relationship. Force displacement relationship by using equation as this is your force vector is nothing but equal to, this is your global stiffness matrix K into nodal displacement vector U. Okay, so These are the first 3 steps. Then fourth step is for apply the boundary conditions. Apply the boundary conditions to, suppose this is equation 1. Apply the boundary conditions to equation 1. And then next is for eliminate the rows and columns as per boundary conditions. Okay, so first step is what? Find out the elemental stiffness matrices for each element. The next one is what? Construct the global stiffness matrix by using these elemental stiffness matrices. The next step is what? Write down the force displacement relationship by using this equation. As we are aware of this equation, as we have derived this equation for your bar element as well as for your spring element. Here in this equation, F is nothing but your force vector, K is nothing but your stiffness, global stiffness matrix. As we will get this global stiffness matrix in your second step. Okay, and to get this second step, you need to consider your elemental stiffness matrices. Means you need to find out the elemental stiffness matrices. Then you will get the global stiffness matrix, and then finally by using this global stiffness matrix, you can correlate the force and displacement equation. As this is F is equal to K times U, where F is nothing but your force vector, K is nothing but your global stiffness matrix, and U is nothing but your displacement vector. Okay, so as in this example, look, in this example, as there are 4 nodes, so you will get global stiffness matrix of order 4 by 4. Okay, so finally in this example you will get the global stiffness matrix of order 4 by 4. So write down by using this global stiffness matrix this force and displacement relationship. Means what? You need to write down here 4 parameters. Suppose F1, F2, F3, F4 is equal to, this is your 4 by 4 global stiffness matrix. Okay, 4 by 4 global stiffness matrix, and then the displacement vector means U1, U2, U3 and U4. Okay, so you will get this force and displacement relationship by using this global stiffness matrix. Okay, so the next step is what? Eliminate the rows and columns. Means here we will apply our elimination approach of elimination to the rows and columns by using our boundary conditions. Okay, means what? Eliminate the rows and columns from this equation. Okay, we will see in this detail while solving the example. And finally you will get the values of U1 to U, and finally you will get the reactions. Okay, so how we are going to proceed this procedure, we will see step by step. Okay, so this is the procedure, finite elemental procedure to solve this spring system or to solve any one-dimensional problem. Okay, or you can apply this same procedure to your two-dimensional problem, three-dimensional problems. So we will solve this by using this procedure as. So first step is find out the elemental stiffness matrices. Okay, first find out the elemental stiffness matrix. Okay, this is your spring system. Actually, this is the spring system shown here. So first step is find out the elemental stiffness matrices. Now, as there are 3 elements, so you need to find out 3 elemental stiffness matrices. Okay, for this element E1, for this element E2, and for this element E3. Okay, so first find out the elemental stiffness matrices. As E1 is equal to, as you know that how to find out the elemental stiffness matrices, because the basic idea behind the elemental stiffness matrix is what? Your elemental stiffness matrix, generalized elemental stiffness matrix for the spring system is given as K minus K minus K and K, and then write here is the position. You will write the position of this elemental stiffness matrix also. Okay. So for this E1, by using this elemental stiffness matrix, you will get E1 as, instead of K here, value of K1 is given as 200. So you can write 200 minus 200 minus 200 and 200. So this is your elemental stiffness matrix E1. But write down the position of that elemental stiffness matrix also. So why we are writing this position? Because while constructing the global stiffness matrix, we need the position of that elemental stiffness matrix. So first step is, write down the elemental stiffness matrix by using this relation. Then write down the position of that elemental stiffness matrix also. So this element 1, actually this element 1, it lies in between node 1 and node 2. So the position of that elemental stiffness matrix will become between node 1 and node 2. Similarly, between node 1 and node 2 means these are the columns and these are the rows. So similarly, write down the elemental stiffness matrix E2. So E2, it can be written as, so instead of K, you have to write down this value, E2 is equal to 400. So you will get 400 minus 400 minus, similar to this. Okay, you are writing this elemental stiffness matrix similar to this generalized stiffness matrix for the spring system. So 400 and plus 400. Now similarly, write down here also you will have to write down, you need to write down the position of that elemental stiffness matrix. So this element 2, actually it is in between node 2 and 3. So we need to write down this as second and third, between second and third. Okay. Then finally, elemental stiffness matrix E3 is given as, so K3 for this elemental stiffness matrix is 600. So it will become 600 minus 600 minus 600, 600. And the position of this E3 will become, this will lie in between node 3 and node 4. So it will become between 3 and 4, between 3 and 4. Okay. Now, this is your first step. Here we calculated our 3 elemental stiffness matrices by using this generalized stiffness matrix for the spring element. So here E1, E2 and E3 are known. Now by using these 3 elemental stiffness matrices, we can write our global stiffness matrix. Okay, so global stiffness matrix. Now the order of that global stiffness matrix is nothing but 4 by 4. Okay. Why 4 by 4? Because there are 4 nodes, so the order of that global stiffness matrix will become the order of that node. So here number of nodes is equal to 4, so order will become 4 by 4. So write down the 4 by 4 matrix. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. So this is the global stiffness matrix. Now construct this global stiffness matrix by using this elemental stiffness matrix. Now element 1. Actually this element lies between node 1 and 2. Means between first and second column as well as first and second row. The position of that elemental stiffness matrix will lie between node 1 and node 2. Okay. So write down the values of these elements over this block. Similarly, element 2. The position of element 2 is in between node 2 and node 3. Means between column 2 and 2 as well as between rows 2 and 3. So write down the E2 in between node 2 and 3. 2 and 3. So the position of that elemental stiffness matrix will become as. Okay. Between node 2 and 3 here we are writing. Similarly, element 3 is positioned between node 3 and 4. Third column, fourth row, fourth column, third row, fourth row. So position this elemental stiffness matrix over the global stiffness matrix in between node 3 and node 3 and node 4. So node 3 and node 4. Okay. So in this way you will get the global stiffness matrix K. So write down the elemental values of this E1 over this block, E2 over this second block, and E3 over this third block. Okay. So first we are writing our first block. So first block values are 200 minus 200, 200 minus 200, 200. So it will become 200 minus 200 minus 200 and here 200. Okay. Then write down the second elemental stiffness matrix. Means values, these four values will be over this block, second block. So 400 minus 400 minus 400, 400. So over this block write down the values. Here 400 means plus, it will become plus 400. Here minus 400. Then next minus 400. And here it will become 400. Now finally put these values over this third block. 600 minus 600, 600 minus 600, 600. So put these values over here. So 400, this element will become 400 plus 600 minus 600, then minus 600 and plus 600. Okay, and the remaining elements will be equal to 0. Will be equal to 0. Okay, so in this way you will get the global stiffness matrix. Okay, this is nothing but your global stiffness matrix. Okay. So in this way you will get the global stiffness matrix. Okay. So simply add these two terms, 400 plus 200 will become 600. Finally 600. Then 400 plus 600 it will become 1000. Okay. So finally you will get the global stiffness matrix. Now next step. So now next step is what? Your global stiffness matrix of 4 by. Okay. So in this way you will get the global stiffness matrix. Now next step is what? Next step is that find out the force and displacement relationship. Okay. So force and displacement relationship, as you have studied, the force and displacement relationship for this spring element is given as force vector F is equal to global stiffness matrix K times your displacement vector. Okay, sorry. So now we need to note down we need to denote our nodal values as well as nodal values for force as well as displacement. Okay, force as well as displacement. We need to denote our nodal values here. Okay, this is the basic problem. So as we have denoted our nodes as 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now, for first element, there are some nodal values like F1 and U1. For second node, there must be some nodal values F2 and U. Here you can write U1 here. U1. Then for third node, F3 and U. And finally for fourth node, F4 and U. Okay. So in this way, you can denote the nodal values like nodal displacement as well as the nodal force over this for particular node. Means for first node, it will become U1 F1. For second node, it will become U2 F2. Similarly, for fourth node, it will become U4 and F. Okay. So as we know that, basically what? As we know that if only one element is there between node 1 and 2, then we will get two equations. Okay. As we know that these equations can be written as F1 is equal to K times U2 minus U1. Similarly, F2 is equal to minus K times U2 minus U1. Means we will get here two equations. Then these equations can be written in the matrix form. Then we will get the final elemental stiffness matrix from this by simplifying the two equations and writing it in matrix form. So similarly, here also, how many equations should be there for this spring system shown in the figure? Okay, for first element there are two equations. For second element also there must be two equations. For third element also there must be two equations. Okay, but the equation for this node, this second equation, it will be common between node for this element 1 and element 2. Means it will reduce here for this node 1, for this node 2, for this node 3 and for this node. Means you will get 4 equations for this spring system shown in the figure, because the second node is common as well as third node is common. So for first element, if there are two equations, then here this element, for this element we will get only one equation, 1 plus 2 plus this one equation, because this node is also common, this node is also common. So for this case we will get for first node first equation, second node second equation, third node third equation, fourth node fourth equation. So in this way you can continue. Means here there are 4 nodes, so we will get 4 equations. It will depends on the number of nodes. Means number of equations must be equal to the number of nodes. Okay, so number of nodes here, the number of nodes equal to 4. So there must be the number of equations number, it will be equal to 4. Okay, or you will get the 4 equations only depending on the number of nodes. Why? Because we are getting here the global stiffness matrix as the order of 4 by. So we will see. Write down. Next step is what? Write down this. Say after getting the global stiffness matrix, write down the relationship between force vector and displacement vector for this global stiffness matrix. Okay. So in this way, for force vector, there are how many nodal forces are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So force vector will become of order 4 by 4. Means one column but 4 rows should be there. So it will become 4 forces. 4 nodal forces F1, F2, F3 and F4 is equal to. Okay. So see how I am writing this global stiffness matrix. By using this global stiffness matrix, the force and displacement relationship. So F values should be at LHS. So I am writing these F values as there are 4 forces. So here I am writing the force vector as 4 rows but only 1 column. This is a vector. Then next, similar to the force vector, you can write the nodal displacement vector. But in this format, you have to write this equation in this format. Means F value should be at left side, then the global stiffness matrix into your nodal displacement vector. Okay, so into your global stiffness vector means U1. Sorry. U1, U2, U3 and U4. Okay, so you can write by using this force and displacement relationship. Here you will writing the 4 equations. Okay, so as I told you earlier that the number of nodes equal to the number of equations. So here as the number of nodes equal to 4, so you will get the total number of equations. How many number of equations should be there? There should be 4 equations. 4 equations should be there for this system. See, F1 is equal to 200 times U1 minus 200 times U2 means I am doing simply multiplication. 0 times U3 plus 0 times U4. Similarly, you will get F2 as F2 is equal to minus 200 times U1, 600 times U2 minus 400 times U3, 0 times U2. Similarly, you will get F3 as 0 times U1 minus 400 times U2, 1000 times U3 and minus 600 times U4. Okay. Then finally, you will get F4 as 0 times U1 plus 0 times U2 minus 600 times U3 plus 600 times U4. So you will get, actually initially we will get these 4 equations. Okay, but here we are trying to write down these 4 equations by using this global stiffness matrix. Actually first step should be like that. You will get 4 equations and by using these 4 equations you will get the global stiffness matrix. But here we are constructing the global stiffness matrix first and then writing this relationship by using this global stiffness matrix. Okay, understood? So in this way you can write the force vector and displacement vector relationship by using this equation. Okay, so up to this it is clear now. Okay, so in this way you will get the force and displacement relationship. Now next step is what? Apply the boundary conditions. Okay, here up to this, which steps we have covered? First one is elemental stiffness matrix, construction of elemental stiffness matrix. Second one is construction of global stiffness matrix. Okay, so first we have constructed our elemental stiffness matrix for this element 1, 2 and 3. Then next, by using this elemental stiffness matrices, we have constructed our global stiffness matrix. Then order for that global stiffness matrix, how we have decided this order of this global stiffness matrix. So order of global stiffness matrix, actually we have decided depending on the number of nodes, as there are 4 nodes here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So order of that global stiffness matrix will become 4 by 4. Okay. After this, we have denoted our nodal displacements and nodal forces over the spring system. Okay, so for this first node there are 2 nodal values. First one is U1, F1. For second node there must be 2 values, U2, F2. For third node there must be 2 values, U3 and F3. And for fourth node there must be 2 values, U4 and F4. Actually we are writing these nodal values to construct this force and displacement relationship. So by using this force and displacement relationship, now we have written this force and displacement relationship by using this global stiffness matrix. Means as there are 4 nodes, means there must be 4 equations. F1, F2, F3, F4 is equal to global stiffness matrix into your displacement vector U1, U2, U3. So in this way you can write these 4 equations into this force and displacement relationship by using this global stiffness matrix. Now next step is what? The application of the boundary conditions. Okay, so we will see this next steps means application of boundary conditions, then elimination approach, we will see in our next lecture. Okay, so up to this you have we have covered our this force and displacement relationship. So we will conclude our lecture with this and we will see the remaining part of that problem in our next lecture. Okay, so thank you.